This is the Metal Queens podcast. I'm Steve Richards, and welcome to another episode where we celebrate the fiercest women in metal from around the world. Today, we're joined by an absolute powerhouse out of the Steel City of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, Sarah Halter. Sarah's been blazing her own path in the metal world, drawing from progressive, alternative, symphonic, and death metal to create a modern and uncompromising sound. From her critically acclaimed EP, The Doom That Binds Us, to her recent singles like Whiskey in the Kitchen and the brand new one, Agitation, out now, Sarah has proven herself not only as a talented recording artist, but also as a stunning one-person live act, too. She's been gaining traction across national and international airwaves, rocking packed shows around Pennsylvania and the Ohio Valley, and even returning to the Midsummer Metal Festival for the second year in a row. Sarah Halter, welcome to the Metal Queens podcast.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate the kind words. Also, recently in my, previous and like upcoming career developments.
Yeah, we're going to talk about some touring coming up and more new music coming up as well here on the Metal Queens podcast. So let's start here, Sarah. What first drew you into the world of heavy music, and when did you realize you wanted to pursue it as a solo artist?
Well, what first drew me was like originally like, when I was like, I don't know, like 13, you get into that age when you're just starting to like develop your mindset, your own thoughts, your own path. I was like maybe in like the, sixth, seventh grade. I was, back then, in my time, it was on the radio. You'd hear like, Linkin Park, Korn,
Yeah.
a lot of like heavier music now that's not played on like 105.9, which is in Pittsburgh right now, you know what I mean? The alternative rock was a little bit more like on like geared toward the metal spectrum. And then once like 2003 happened, Evanescence was heard for the first time, and I was just like, oh my God, there's this awesome female fronted metal. And then not to get me wrong, I loved a lot of the male fronted metal bands as well, like Linkin Park, Korn, a lot of those old like new metal bands. Um, but when I heard that, I was like, oh shit, this is awesome. And that really was a driver. And like I know I started to look into other bands, and then it kind of got me down the gothic metal track. I like learned about other bands, across the Atlantic, like Tristania, and I found them on, streaming. You could like streaming was a little bit different. You had to dig, but I found them, and they had this amazing gothic metal album, Widow's Weeds, released in 1990. Yeah, like 1998 or something. And then it was just like this amazing gothic metal album. And just like I was hooked. Um, and yeah, you couldn't hear that now. I mean, you can hear it now, but it was like, hearing it then as like a 14, 15, 16-year old, it really like got me down that track with heavy metal. And then I started to like learn guitar. And another highlight was even before that, when I was younger, I was like sneaking around in my uncle's apartment, and he had a Rob Zombie CD. And I was like, ooh, what's this? So I popped it in, and I was like, it was very heavy. And I was like maybe like 7 or 8 years old.
Got one right
Dragula.
here. I just happen to have one right over here.
One of the first like songs albums that I heard, and it was just yeah, I was hooked.
Hmm.
So it was there in my blood before I even like hit puberty and went out and had those rebellious thoughts.
Yeah.
But the second half of the question, when did I realize I wanted to be a solo artist? um I had a band after I moved to Pittsburgh here, formed a band called Blue Clutch, and we did really well around here for a couple years. But then by like 2019 and 2020, when the pandemic hit, a couple of the band members, they just, I know, there were mixed factors and situations, but it just, it wasn't able to happen as a full-time thing that I wanted to do. and we ended up breaking up in 2020, but it had a lot of like progressive and alternative groove elements. We had so many amazing jam sessions, practices, and like we even released like a full-time album if you want to hear it. It's Blue Clutch. Um, yeah, it was like definitely a little bit like before where I'm at now, but I'm like I produced or like, um wrote a lot of the songs and like we made that together and it was really cool how it turned out. So I was very happy. Always wanted to take it a bit heavier there in the future.
Hmm.
Uh, so I mean it sucks that it ended that way, but I'm really glad that I rebranded. And then 2020, I had some extra time, extra money from COVID money that I was able to like invest in like, some time to really like dial into recording and like producing my own sound. So I just decided to rebrand and go from there.
Your sound blends so many influences. You mentioned goth earlier, progressive, symphonic, death. How do you balance those different inspirations when you're writing?
I mean, like whenever I write music, even before I like went into the studio a lot, I would always start with some guitar riffs or guitar progressions. Um, it was always like my go-to when it comes to writing music. I mean, sometimes I would hear a melody and go from there, but mo like first and foremost, I usually hear a riff or like I develop or just feel something on the guitar. So, so there's something rhythmic there, but also something melodic there, and then I go there from that. However, you know, no song that I'm making now that I find that I've been able to develop in the DAW, the digital audio workstation, is necessarily confined to that. So, for future stuff, it might not always be that way, with whoever I work with and whatever I go with. But when I'm sitting down and I want to feel something and I want to hear something and I want to put out something, it's usually coming from something like I'm jamming out or like ripping out the guitar.
I want to go
And
back
then
to I want to go back to your EP, The Doom That
yes.
Binds Us. Critics had praised your fresh approach to songwriting, musicianship. How did that project, Sarah, shape your direction as an artist?
I mean, at that time, I was really thankful to have some funding from CL Arts. Um, this project was on a record label. It still is technically, although it's currently been handed back to me just due to the situation that he's in. Um, However, I used those funds to get it totally mixed and mastered, and I at that time I had a lot of time, like it was around like 2020 to 2021, so I had a lot of time to really dedicate my time to the music and going forward. And I just kind of locked in. I had these songs that I had produced and written, or like written and ready to go, to be produced. And I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna do this. I'm just gonna do this on my own. And I had I had it in my mind, and I really like took the time to play it out in the DAW and to record it on my own. And it really set me up for, going forward with other music, like getting the praise and the recognition with it. That's like, hey, yeah, you're good at this. You can do this. Like, keep doing it. Like, let's go. Let's make more music. And yeah, it really solidified my dedication to continue making as much more music and playing as many shows as possible under like this project, under like my own solo project, if that makes sense.
Let's talk about the new single, Agitation, out now. Congratulations on that.
Oh, thank you.
Can you tell us about the inspiration behind the track and what it represents for you both musically and lyrically too?
Well, the song lyrically, I guess I'm gonna start off first here lyrically. Lyrically it's about the idea of either agitating somebody or being a source of agitation to somebody due to some kind of difference or some kind of hidden desire or turmoil behind whoever's, doing being the agitator or perceiving agitation, if that makes sense. I mean, I think a lot of people can relate to it in different ways. Depending, I mean, a lot of time, people are very, I mean, I don't know, like in the US right now, people are very, it's kind of tense. I mean, it could be political, it could be not, it could just be interpersonal, it's however one can, interpret it. I kind of tried to make it vague there. Um, so yeah, it's being a source of agitation or being agitated due to hidden desire of someone or something or having inner turmoils. Now, musically, going back from that, the inspiration for this, I actually wrote the initial riff in this song. It was with my previous band. And it's portrayed in a few seconds of the song, and it's kind of layered throughout. And I kind of built, the song based on that. But it was a lot shorter back then, with a lot less lyrics and a lot, less dynamics at that point. So I really kind of wanted to build, on that. And I kind of just, yeah, I was really happy with how it turned out.
You teamed up with producer Benjamin Hull for Agitation. How was the creative collaboration different from your self-produced work in the past?
Well, compared to like evaluating every single part on my own, like how I do, like, with if I self-produce something like The Doom That Binds Us EP, that was completely, self-produced, self-written, all the parts were recorded and written by me. It was different having, somebody there to really bounce off ideas and compromise through the process of like, what sections we're going to go. He really delved into drum and bass. Yeah, Ben Hull is more of a drum and bass kind of musician, whereas I'm more of like, a melodic, like, guitarist, singer, that kind of composer and arranger. So yeah, this was a great match for this
Mm.
song, and it ended up working out. And he also had, I mean, of course, me, like, I mean, I like to record a lot of the stuff on my own. I mean, he has a full range of the studio gear, equipment, etc., you know, to do with his projects. And yeah, I think like that really, like with him having the difference in expertise in rhythmic parts and also the studio gear plus my um giving an extra set of ears and saying like, hey, well, these are some things I could recommend with production, do you want to build off of them? Like, okay, great. The guitar solo was actually something that was like really added later on because like I'm a huge guitar person, and he gave me this like layout of a guitar solo for this part, and I just kind of felt, I was like, oh no, no, like I want to make sure I record something from this
Mm.
here because so, and well, it was a challenge, but it was awesome. And then like he really matched well, and like after a discussion with drum and bass and like other uh synth vibes and settings, it ended up working out very well. And also another note I would like to make on that, he also did mixing and mastering for this song. So like pretty much after we did the production, collaboration, discussion agreements, etc., he started on that, and that made it all the more easier, I think, and it really made the song pop.
Yeah, it sounds like he complimented you really well on this track. For fans, Sarah, who might be new to your music, where do you feel Agitation sits in your discography? Is it a continuation of your sound or more of a bold new step forward?
I mean, I would say like it's definitely a mix of both. But for each project, I really try to like one up the previous, project in some kind of way. While still, keeping my own feel, my own style, my own like, with what I want to add to the track. Like for instance, I used a lot more like synth tracks and agitation uh to really improve production in a stylistic way. Um, you know, Similarly in a way to Whiskey in the Kitchen, which I added a lot of different synth tracks If you listen to Agitation and Whiskey in the Kitchen compared to like The Doom That Binds Us or Clockwork, you can hear, a lot more synth tracks behind that. I really was able to develop my skills recording and like saying like, hey, I want this first and foremost, or like I want this, up in the mix for those tracks with who I work with for mixing and mastering. I feel that really shone through with Agitation, and then Agitation also has tropes with other works, such as like an extended guitar solo, song and scream vocal combinations, and also the production collaboration really shone through in that one as well.
I've been watching, I haven't seen you live yet in person. I've been watching some of your live performances on YouTube, and you've become known for your one-person live shows that still capture the power of a full band. What goes into preparing and pulling off those performances, Sarah?
Well, I think with me, like with what I'm doing is like you really have to bring the performative side of it. Like first and foremost, like I mean, rehearsing, I have like several rehearsal days like for each show, like with what I do, like to make sure like my gear, my equipment, everything is like 100%. Um, my breath control, I'm always really, training, trying to go, deeper with what I can do. I mean, I'm a huge fitness person. Like I've been working out like, effortlessly for a while. And like I feel like it really helps, manage yourself on stage. But it's also like kind of like you kind of like fall into touch with each song, and you just find a way that you just want to execute it. And like the more you play the song live, the more you can just dial it in, like with even just not just like playing and performing with just but like being it with effortlessly embellishing it on stage, if that makes any sense. Like movements, just subtle little things you can do, even if you don't have, you know, somebody behind you or other people or whatever, you can still have a huge stage presence. And I think that that is absolutely vital. So, yeah, I've really been dialing into that recently as well.
And you've been playing a ton of shows across Pennsylvania, the Ohio Valley, including your second year at the Midsummer Metal Festival, which one I have to put on my list, by the way, to attend. What have been some of the standout moments from the stage from this year so far?
I have two that I can like recall that like really come to mind that I loved, and they were like from like my two recent shows. The Midsummer Metal Fest, it was excellent. I mean, it was so hot still. Like
Mm.
it was like like 90 some degrees out there. Yeah, in brilliant Ohio, and everybody was there. The year before it was even hotter. To be
Mm.
honest, it was like people were like, I think we all got like semi heat stroke. I mean, I kind of did. The year before they kind of started it later, it was structured a little differently. We kind of, it was a little easier to, okay, it's like, okay, prepare for this a little better this year. So I did. And it ended up going very well. But like one thing I can remember was people were dancing during my performance of Scatter, and just dancing because it's in done 1 2 3 1 2 3 or 6 8, or like yeah, da 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 da, that kind of thing. And it was so lovely to see, despite how hot and despite how everything was. And I remember like I had my bottle of Prime hydration formula. I just I chugged it on stage, or like like throughout my performance, and it was just like, we're doing this. This is great. Like I feel, yeah, it people were very like so enthusiastic despite how hot and the midsummer it was. And as for my performance and also for the other band's performance, and yeah, Altered States and everybody who put on that, they did an excellent job. It was so well organized. We had a great turnout. It was just a one up from the previous year even. Um, Another funny moment, or another highlight moment, was I had a show I think it was, yeah, it was August 25th at the Cove nightclub in Ashtabula, Ohio. And I was extremely well received with my performance on stage. But I also felt like I was like coming down with a cold, like right before that and playing. I'm like, oh God, I hope I get through this. I hope I get through this. I hope I get through this. I got through it. I was fine. I ended up just having a couple other beers. I went back to the hotel. I chugged 2 cups of tea and ate and drank a whole thing of ramen noodles. Had, had some relaxation time, went to sleep, and I was fine.
Yeah. Yeah, you were talking about the heat. It was hot everywhere. I just got back from Louder Than
Oh,
Life in Louisville. I was at Incarceration in Ohio in July, and
wow.
yeah, all summer everywhere. Yeah, it was a steamy summer. Well, that's great. So, as an independent artist, Sarah, what's been the biggest challenge for you, biggest reward of carving your own path in the metal world?
I mean, the biggest challenges I would say would be, as an independent artist, yeah, I don't have like, I mean, currently, I mean, I had like label funds coming in for like one album or for the Doom That Binds Us, but like it was just enough to cover, mixing and mastering costs, and everything. But it's like we get work-life balance and funding, to go and do these kinds of things. I mean, for playing shows nearby, regionally, and like, locally, regionally, and like a little bit beyond is really not that much, but um if I had, more funding, it'd be way, way easier to like get on extended tours, do even more, with what I can do, invest in promotion. I try to do, as much as I can do with what I have. I do a lot with a little right now, as I say, with many people out there. It's a challenge. It's really challenging. I'm just trying to like, chip away at like other things that I have, so that I can like put towards money, towards the career. I put as much as I possibly can, merch costs, gas money, hotels, for, shows out there recently, or a time that I need to like get away from my day job, work-life balance, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Reward, I would say the reward is accomplishing something that I've always wanted to do. I've always felt like I had a calling to do musical performance, musical recording, and just to be, a voice for people. I mean, I didn't have a lot of role models, with what I'm doing from when I was younger. So I want to be that for people up and coming and going forth, and, just being the best person and the musician that I can, and, doing it for as long as I possibly can. I mean, the idea is like, I don't know, like I have an idea. It's like, okay, like you commit to this, you're in it. You don't give up.
As long as it's fun, right? And still fun.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, we have a lot of DIY artists here on this podcast, both solo artists and bands as well, and very challenging.
Oh,
Um,
it's
with
a struggle.
with Agitation out now, Sarah, more momentum building for you. So what is next? Any plans for another EP, full album? And what about touring plans going into next year too?
Well, there's more music definitely coming for sure. And likely more stuff with Ben Holt, because he really expressed interest in working on something else with me, and we did work very well together. Um, Unsure of project length right now. It just depends on, time, money, we can negotiate. Um, Also, with collabs, I've had offers for people reaching out to me like, hey, do you want to be on this? Do you want to be on that? But like nothing has ever been like, due to my repertoire, it's like, I'm not gonna just be like, hey, I'm not gonna just do this for free.
Right.
You I mean, I've had people reach out to me and, say like, hey, it's like, yeah, I'm available. Here you go. Here's my rates. I'm not selling myself short here. So it's like, will they come through? or will they not? I don't I don't know. It's like, if you do, you're ready. If you don't, you're not ready. And that is what it is. Um, but yeah, there could be collabs in the coming year or two. I also have possible cover ideas that I would want to do to release for certain songs, but I'm not sure yet. Um, so basically, yeah, I'm just gonna keep investing as much energy, money, time, energy, into this project because it seems to be going in a good direction. So I'm just going to keep doing that and playing as many shows as I possibly can. If there are other tours, tour announcements, I discussed a couple things with people about possible mini tours, but we'll see if it conspires.
You have to follow Sarah on social. Check out her website too, sarahhalter.com, for updates on touring plans and future singles as well. All right, we're going to wrap up here, Sarah, with the lightning round of questions. First thing that comes to mind for you with these questions. If you could front any legendary metal band for one night, which one would it be?
Oh, I would say, I mean, I know that this was a very hard question, and I had it narrowed down to several. And I don't even know if they're even legendary yet. But I would say I'm gonna give you my answer here, and I'm gonna say Delane. They've been active for a long time. Um, I've seen them in concert, and it was one of the best performance. And my second one was it was between Delane and Nightwish.
Nightwish comes up a lot on here, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I would love, but like Delane has such like they're just a little more alt than Nightwish, and
Hmm.
I don't know, they just have this nice. The only thing is like between those bands, like there aren't. I mean, oh, Delane has some like scream vote like with other vocals, so like I could do that, coming in, so I could technically mix up the singing, screaming, but yeah, I know a lot of their songs just by heart. So and I listen to them at the gym like so much with their old stuff, and I actually like discover their new stuff, and I didn't know if I would love their new album. But like as soon as I gave it like two listens, I was like, I really, really like this. So
What is the strangest or funniest thing that's ever happened to you at a gig?
the most recent strange thing that happened was like, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like strange. I mean, I guess it's a combo of like strange and funny, but like I was in Rotfest 2024 in Central PA. Like last September 2024. And I gave everybody my sound information, what I need. Like, okay, I need like mic for guitar, vocal mic, and like this is the input for, my backing tracks. I get there, about to set up, and they were like, wait a minute, we don't have the cord for the backing tracks. I'm like, oh no, oh no. So, but they're like, wait, we can figure this out. So there were like five people like scrambling, trying to find like the direct like hookup like for my backing tracks. I'm like, wait, can I help? They're like, oh no, we got it, we got it taken care of. It worked. It worked in the end. It was just like it was a scramble, but you know what? It turned out great, and that day was a very memorable day.
Yeah, nice. All right, coffee, tea, or whiskey? You got a song with whiskey in the title. What
Okay.
what do you prefer?
Coffee, tea, or whiskey. Oh, that wasn't on the list, or maybe I missed it.
That's an extra one.
Depends on if it's the morning. I mean, I honestly don't drink a lot of whiskey anymore, to be honest. I'm gonna say coffee. I'm gonna say coffee.
If you had to describe your live show in three words, what would they be?
Oh, it was powerful, precise, and alluring.
Alluring. I like that word.
Well, yeah.
All right, Sarah Halter, new single out right now is Agitation. More new music to come. So make sure you check out Sarah's music wherever you stream your music and follow Sarah on social and catch a live show too if you can, especially if you're in the Pittsburgh area or Ohio as well. Watch for some tour dates. Sarah, thanks for joining me here on the Metal Queens podcast.
Thank you very much, Steve. Thank you.
Great having you here. And make sure you like it, share it, subscribe to it, write a review. I'm Steve Richards. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.